Welcome to the morning update. I'm Erin Ramsey. Regional Victoria is now out of lockdown with the exception of Greater Shepparton. The 5 reasons to leave home have been scrapped and it's back to school for prep to grade 2, year 12 and some year 11 students. Health Minister Martin Foley says a plan is in place for if any cases re-emerge, which will see only impacted areas locked down.
Depend on not just the number of cases, but the stories behind the cases. At-risk communities, number of exposure sites, were they in quarantining, were they in isolation, have they been interstate? All of these kind of measures.
The Australian Medical Association has some reservations about easing COVID restrictions in New South Wales next month for the double vaccinated. Dr Danielle McMullen from the AMA says case numbers in the state are still too high.
It's really important that people have some hope for the future. But at the moment, we've got a lining up of when things are supposed to be reopening is also going to be when our health system is under the most pressure from rising case numbers.
Record numbers of Australians are applying to leave the country. Almost 38,000 applications were received last month, with just under half wanting to be away for more than 3 months. The numbers have doubled since January. More than 12,000 applications rejected. The first commercial jet has flown out of Afghanistan this morning since the Taliban took over. The Qatar Airways flight landed in Doha, 13 British citizens among those on board. And Facebook's launched new high-tech sunglasses. The Ray-Bans feature cameras to take video, speakers to listen to music and microphones to take phone calls. They go on sale in Australia next week. To sport in tennis, it's women's semi-finals day at the US Open in New York. Leylah Fernandez takes on Aryna Sabalenka and Emma Raducanu against Maria Sakkari. In basketball, the Sydney Kings have suspended training after a player tested positive to COVID-19. The squad and staff are now self-isolating. And in football, the Australian women's team will play 2 matches against the United States in Sydney before the end of the year on November 27 and November 30. In entertainment news, the trailer for the new Matrix film has dropped, racking up over 2.2 million views in an hour. Keanu Reeves is reprising his lead role as Neo for the 4th installment of the franchise.
It becomes a problem when fantasies endanger us. We don't want anyone to get hurt, do we?
The Matrix Resurrections will be released in Australia on January 1st next year. More than a dozen members of the royal family will pay tribute to the late Prince Philip in a documentary that goes to air later this month. The Queen and Duke's 4 children will appear in Prince Philip, the royal family remembers, as well as their adult grandchildren. And James Corden's been granted a temporary restraining order against a 30-year-old woman who keeps showing up uninvited to his home, hoping to marry him. Legal documents show she once camped outside his home in her car for 6 days straight. That's your latest from the Nova podcast team. We'll see you this afternoon for another episode of The Update.